Welcome. The San Antonio Volleyball Officials Association presents the NFHS Scoresheet, Basic Scoring Instructions. In this module, you as an official will become familiar with the score sheets used during a volleyball match. It is essential that the entire officiating team be familiar with the score sheet and how a match is recorded in the event that a discrepancy needs to be fixed, guidance is needed, or in the rare event that a coach needs to be assisted in tempering his or her emotions. At the conclusion of this module, you'll be able to recognize and interpret the major areas of the score sheet, correctly and accurately record the events during a match, follow match events chronologically, correct discrepancies, and even recreate an entire match by reading score sheets completed by someone else. The score sheet tells a story of what happened during the match, set by set, point by point, action by action. The scorer is the scribe during the match and records all relevant events on the score sheet. This means that the scorer is the historian and not the author of the document. The score sheet is in part populated by the coaches by providing his or her team's lineup to the officiating team. The lineup depicts the starting players and their corresponding serving order. The score sheet is directed and overseen by the officials to ensure accuracy because it is the official record of what happened during the match. In the future, no one will remember the match itself, but with the score sheet, the actions during the match can be reproduced. The result of each rally, each point, substitution, timeout, serve, and even each sanction. The score sheet is divided into several sections: the heading, timeouts, team information, player details, rally results, running score, substitutions, match results and officiating team, and a reference key. Some schools may not use one of the score sheets depicted in this module. The key is to be flexible. Although a school may not use an official NFHS score sheet, all the pertinent information will still be contained on the score sheet. If you are not familiar with the score sheet, ask questions. Once the scorer arrives at the table, they should begin filling out the heading section of the score sheet, including match date, home and visiting teams, school site, gym or match location, the set number, and level of play. The set start time will be annotated at the beckon for first serve, and the set end time will be noted at the conclusion of the set. The scorekeeper will fill in their name, and after all introductions are made, everyone should ensure that their names are written on the score sheet and spelled correctly. By this time, the home team should have chosen their preferred side for the first set. Upon entry into the gym, the Lady Rams have chosen the left court as seen from the scorer's table. The scorer will confirm this and fill in the boxes accordingly. After the pre-match conference, the team that is serving first is noted on the score sheet. In our example, the Lady Rams won the coin toss and have elected to serve. The starting players and their corresponding serving order are placed on the score sheet using the lineup provided by the coach, including the team captain and libero. The referees and the scorer should ensure that all numbers are valid according to the current rules. All players are listed on the roster. A captain is indicated, a libero is designated if desired, and no duplicate numbers exist. It is important to note here that even though the receiving team will rotate before their first term of service, the lineup diagrams are in serving order, so it does not matter if the team is serving or receiving, the first server will always be in the number 1 position. During play, each square represents a rally in the scoring section of the score sheet, one section for each team. This section is completed using the key to ensure the score sheet is filled out correctly. Let's take a closer look at scoring a relatively uneventful match. In this scenario, there will be no libero exchanges, sanctions, substitutions, timeouts, or any other game interruptions. The first referee beckons for the first serve, and the scorer writes in the set start time. Number 12 for the Lady Rams serves an ace, and a point is awarded to the Lady Rams. The next successive point is placed in the first available rally event box on player 12's row. Then the corresponding point is slashed in the running score section. The Lady Rams score 4 more points during their term of service for a total score of 5 points. Here is your rally event scoring and running score sections. The 6th serve lands out of bounds, ending the Lady Rams' term of service, which is marked with a dash bar or sideways T. And the receiving team is awarded a point in their scoring section, and the corresponding point is slashed in the running score section, both encased in a square indicating that the point was awarded during a side out. As the match continues, the Raiderettes score 3 consecutive points before losing the rally, as noted by the dash bar. The Lady Rams earn a point for winning the side out, which is placed in a box on the next active server's row, in this case player number 7, as she starts her term of service. A box is also placed around the corresponding point scored in the running score section as well. The remainder of our uneventful match is scored in a similar manner. The use of red in this slide indicates the second round of service for each team to help keep better track of where the score is on the score sheet. The third round of service would be annotated in black, and the colors would continue to alternate in this manner. Now let's cover some special situations. When a libero serves, a triangle is placed in 3 places: around the position number in the serving order in which the libero is serving, around any points in the scoring section the libero is awarded, and around any points in the running score section the libero is awarded. In our example, the libero for the Lady Rams serves in the 3rd position in the serving order and scored points 10, 11, 12, and 13. Triangles are placed around the serving position, in the scoring section, and running score. The triangle around the dash bar indicates the libero was the active server during the side out. Let's add a libero to the Raiderettes. In our example, the libero exchanged in at the dead ball after the 6th point and exchanged out after the 9th point was scored by the libero. Now let's briefly take a look at some other aspects of scorekeeping. First up, substitutions. For this purpose, the match has been moved back to the 2nd server position for the Lady Rams, who is serving for the first time this set. Lady Rams continue to be the serving team, and the Raiderettes are the receiving team. Substitutions are marked in 3s just like the libero. The following procedure is used for when the serving team is substituting. First, mark the serving team's rally score box with an S, then write the entering player's number over the leaving player's number. In our example, player 20 goes in for player 26. Second, place the incoming player's number in the corresponding row in the team's service order. In our example, 20 is placed to the right of 26. Third, slash the correct number of the substitution used in the substitution section. Substitutions on the receiving side is very much the same way, with one significant difference. SX is used instead of just an S. So when the receiving team substitutes, mark the serving team's box with an SX, then write the entering player's number over the leaving player's number. Second, change the player number on the substituting team's service order. In our example, player 15 is written to the right of player 9 on the receiving team's service order. Third, slash the corresponding number of substitutions used by the substituting team. Remember, the notations for substitutions are always placed in the rally score section in the row of the player currently serving, no matter which team is substituting. This procedure is used for multiple substitution as well, so let's take a look. In our example, the score sheet reads as though both teams are making a substitution after the 8th point is scored by the Lady Rams. The Lady Rams made a 1-player substitution, 20 for 26, which has already been annotated, and the Raiderettes substitute 3 players, 15 for 9, 11 for 4, and 10 for 2. Now let's take a look at some timeout situations. The Lady Rams go on an 8-point run, so the Raiderettes want to ice the server by calling a timeout. The receiving team's timeout is marked in the active server scoring section in the next available rally score box, and since the receiving team called the timeout is marked as TX, then the score at the timeout is written in the receiving team's timeout section with the receiving team score written first. In this example, the Raiderettes called the timeout during the Rams' term of service when the score was 4-13. Now let's take a look when the serving team calls a timeout. The Lady Rams go on an 8-point run, but there's a little hiccup on the rotation, and instead of risking a delay penalty, the Rams coach calls a timeout. The serving team timeout is marked in the active server score section in the next available rally score box, and since the serving team called the timeout, it is marked with a T. And then the score at the timeout is written in the serving team's timeout section with the serving team score written first. In our example, the Lady Rams called the timeout when they were serving and the score was 13-4. Now that you've seen the way most of the match will be recorded, let's quickly cover some of the remaining situations you may encounter. A reserve is noted with an RS, and a replay is noted with an R. Let's take a look at some sanction situations. When the serving team is issued a sanction that results in the loss of serve and a point awarded to the other team, a P with a dash bar is placed in the next available box in the scoring section of the current server. In an example, a red card was issued to the Lady Rams, so a P with a dash bar is written to the right of the last point scored, in this case, point 13. Then, the next successive point for the Raiderettes is placed on the incoming server's row, the captain, number 7. This is noted by writing a P followed by the next point awarded, the 9th point, and the corresponding point is circled in the running score section. It is important here to note that penalty points are circled on the score sheet. After each uncommon event, the comment section is to be filled out according to the nature of the event, such as sanctions, exceptional substitutions, injuries, excessive match delays, etc. In our example, a red card was issued to player number 3 for the Lady Rams that resulted in the Raiderettes' 9th point due to the penalty and is awarded the right to serve. This is indicated in the comments section of the team incurring the penalty as RC for red card or YC for yellow card, and the player that incurred the penalty, player number 3, and the score at the penalty with the offending player's team first. The points that are written in are the points that each team had prior to the penalty point being awarded. In our example, this would be 13-8. After the set is over, the final touches are placed on the score sheet. The set end time, final score, and signature or initials of the officials as indicated, and the winning and losing teams. In closing, here are some key points to remember. After receiving the lineups, compare it to the player roster to ensure there are no duplicate numbers or invalid numbers. The team's lineup should jive with the roster and the score sheet and must contain a valid starting lineup, an assigned captain, and a designated libero if the team chooses to use one. Substitutions come in threes. Note the action in the rally score box, the player line, and a slash in the substitution section. However you fill out your score sheet, use the same procedure for the same event every time. For example, when a side out occurs, always follow the same input pattern. Write in the dash bar, then the point scored in the box, slash the point, then verify the server, and do it the same way every single time. Same thing with substitutions, timeouts, penalties, etc. Don't guess. If you don't know what happened, ask the R2. Don't make a mess. Score sheets can get a little crowded, but it's better to go a little slower and get it neat and right than to go too fast, be sloppy, and have something misread if there's an issue. Anything happening during a player's term of service is first marked in the box for that player, even if it is something the other team does. An X indicates an action by the non-serving team, SX for subs, TX for timeouts. And using alternating colors will help officials and anyone else reading the score sheet keep track of where they are in the score sheet. Thank you for joining me in this module on basic scoring instructions for NFHS score sheets. Have a great season and see you on the court.